as a little boy, I've been always thinking, and when I think about a lot of uh, ideas, my ideas are visual, and when I get an idea, I always visualize it in my head, and then it was very difficult for me in early days. I didn't know how to express those visual ideas onto into the pictures. So in early days, I used to draw everything what I have in my mind. But then when it became very frustrating for me because you draw something but it does not move, and when I start seeing animated films of other people, I found out that this movement could be great for achieving the kind of ideas and uh, the fantasies I have. I could put it into the action. Although I used to draw all kind of pictures, all kind of imagination, it was never satisfying for me. But the animation does that. Another thing about animation is that you don't have to really follow everybody else's way of making film. Uh, it's very important that I make the film the way I like to make it. And I did not go to school to learn animation, but I have a lot of visual ideas, and I like to find the best technique possible for the kind of visual images I have in my mind. Uh, First of all, when I have an idea, then I like to think what is the best way to express that ideas and a concept. And all my ideas has a lot of fantasies. And if you look at all my films, they express those different kind of fantasies on the screen. But when I see those images, I like to make it as real as possible as I see it. And sometimes just drawing on a piece of paper does not really satisfies me to express those visual ideas and the images I have. And for that, I always try to find a new way of expressing those ideas. In Paradise, I was looking for a technique, and when we wrote the story, or the idea came, we wanted to have a difference between the forest and the palace. And I wanted a difference, quite a contrast between the forest and the palace. Now I know that you can find beautiful forest, you can make beautiful plants and beautiful flowers and everything else, but it's very difficult to make a beautiful palace. So I thought about it. I said, how do I make a palace? Then I make some sketches and I start painting and coloring, and it didn't look very good. When I color the palace with watercolor and inks and everything else, it does not look very good. There is not much contrast between the leaves and the foliage and the palace itself, because what I wanted in the film is a two different situation, far away. One which is very natural, surroundings with leaves and flowers and beautiful sky and everything. The other one is very artificial and very glossy. So I decided in my mind that if I want to make a paradise, I have to find a way of making a palace. I cannot paint palace anymore. So I said, how do I paint the palace? I would do similar kind of thing. And when I was doing Afterlife, I had discovered some putting dots in it, in a plasticine, which shine quite a lot. And I had good ideas about it. So when Paradise came, I said, I'm going to paint the palace with light instead of painting with color. And that's the difference. The forest is painted with the colors, the palace is painted with the light. That was fine. So then we draw the real drawings, and then we took the black cardboard and it made the holes along the line to create, because we cannot cut it, but we made holes in it. And each hole represents like a crystal. Then all the arches and interiors and everything was drawn, and very precisely the holes are put in. But when we made the holes, how do you move the character on top of it? There was a problem. So to use that, we said, well, what we have to do is to matte it out, the character, because dots should not be seen through the body. We cannot superimpose it. So every character we drew and animated was made a matte of it on a clear cell. So first we did, the simple way to look at it is a background with the dots. The light is shining behind it, so it's total dark in the room, and you put the character matte on top. Then you shoot whatever frames you have to shoot. Then you rewind the camera back, and you have the same character drawn, beautiful details and colorings and everything else, with black all around it, and you superimpose exactly the same place. And I think that was the basic technique. The rest of the technique is very simple, like every other films we use it. But even in the forest sequences, my colors are much more brighter. I made it very, very lush, green, tropical, beautiful. And when you put together on the screen, the bird is doing all the movements right behind those dots. And that was very magical, because that was the thing we wanted to talk about, that two different kind of situation we're talking in a film. So this is what we did in Paradise. In Afterlife, I used special technique, and it was first time used, and that's plasticine. What we did, we took clear glass, put a very strong light behind it, and take the plasticine and cover it up. And then with special tools, sculpturing tools, you start carving the plasticine, which is very flat. And as you carve it, you start seeing this wonderful light coming through it. That is the source of visual material. So in Afterlife, all the visual were created by carving slowly. The color of the plasticine would be the color of the character. If the plasticine is red, then the color of the character will be red. If the plasticine is green, then the color of the visual will be green. And it's very intense, very bright, and has a very supernatural quality to it, which I needed for Afterlife. Even in Afterlife, we also design the sequences in such a way so that there are extreme situations. Person will be sitting on an eyeball, for example, or if he's moving his hand, the hand would come forward and he'll be far away. Extreme wide angle lenses kind of situation we use, which gives the more supernatural feelings to it besides the visual of the plasticine. And that's the basic technique of plasticine. The most difficult thing in plasticine is when you have too many things happening at the same time, like in Afterlife, it starts very simply, but when more and more character comes in, more and more things happening, is the sequence like hell and heaven. There are too many things coming in. You have to really keep in mind what is moving how much, and that's very difficult to keep in mind. So I have a little sketch I make on the side and mark down the position. Also, you're not making drawings. Everything you have to choreograph within that square, because you could move certain direction and then you could get stuck in that corner. So you have to constantly watch that there's always a space required as you are thinking 300 frames or 200 frames ahead of your visuals. 4 seconds from now, something like this is going to happen. So you think about it. And that's the most difficult part. You have to think way in advance because you cannot go back and correct anything. Also, you cannot make mistakes. If you make mistakes, you cannot go back and check the drawing again. You have to start the shot all over again. And that's the most difficult part.